Hey, welcome into Shopfix, a community joined together for the love of woodworking. My name is Connor, and today I want to share with you how I built this table saw fence and why it improved my table saw's features overall.
Shopfix. It's for the love of woodworking. In order to create an auxiliary fence that corrects the imperfections of the original D-wall fence, I have to mill a large piece of lumber more precise than the fence was originally produced. The first step in this milling process is to rip the lumber to fit the width of my jointer. I'll be using a large pine board to create this fence. You can use any species of wood for your new fence as long as it has some decent thickness to it. The final thickness once milled should be no less than 3/4. I won't need the full length of this board, so I'll crosscut to final length on my miter saw. One benefit to an auxiliary fence is that it can be longer than your original fence, giving you much more surface area to support your workpiece through the blade. Once I have the new fence cut to final length, I head over to my joiner to face joint one side completely flat. I made this fence as wide as my jointer could possibly allow, and although I have other methods to flatten wider boards, I thought that 6 inches was plenty wide enough. To flatten the other side of the fence, I simply flipped the board over and ran the unjointed side face up. With a few passes through the planer, this board is now completely flat. I'll need to create a flat edge on this board, so next I jointed one edge. This will ensure that both edges of the fence are parallel to one another after I rip the other side out with my table saw. After this table saw cut, the board will be perfectly milled to have 90-degree edges all the way around. You can double check the squareness of your new fence with a combination square or something similar. Once you've confirmed that the board is square, then it'll be time to attach a piece of T-track. The T-track will allow me to mount 2 hold-down clamps to the new fence, which I will use to secure it to the original D-wall fence. I located the T-track to rest high up on the fence, so the clamps had plenty of space to rest without hitting the surface of the table saw. You can dial in this measurement by test fitting the T-track and clamps on your own fence. Next, I mark the center of each hole in the T-track so I can drill a small pilot hole for the screws. These pilot holes will ensure that the screws don't crack the wood, which might mess with the squareness of the new fence. With the pilot holes drilled, I can now use the screws to mount the T-track securely to the back of the fence. Once all the screws are in place, it will be time to secure the auxiliary fence to the original fence. All I need to do is simply slide the hold-down clamps onto the T-track and screw them into place using the star knobs. If your fence is wider, you'll need to add a board underneath the T-track to widen the overall clamping area. Once both hold-down clamps are secured in place, we will check the squareness of the new fence. To my surprise, the thickness of the lumber alone did not solve the imperfection of the fence's squareness to the table saw surface. As you can see, it was still a significant amount out of 90 degrees. To solve this imperfection, I'll first need to remove the auxiliary fence. Once the fence is removed, I'll need to find or make a shim that is the exact thickness of the gap that was revealed on the last step. I happen to have a long shim from a table saw cutoff that will be perfect to fill the gap. After placing the shim along the original fence, I can then attach the auxiliary fence back on. I paid careful attention to make sure the shim stayed flat against the original fence. Now we'll go ahead and secure the new fence by tightening the star knobs on the hold-down clamps. I made sure to apply enough pressure onto these clamps to firmly secure the fence in place so it doesn't move while operating the table saw. Luckily, shimming the new fence actually did the trick, and now I have a new fence that is completely square to the table saw surface. You could also use set screws inside the fence instead of shims. One of the big reasons this new fence adds more capability to my table saw is that I now have a larger surface to reference when I'm cutting out box tops. Without this taller fence that is perfectly square, cutting out a box top on the table saw was fairly difficult, but now it's a breeze. Not only does it add tremendous value when cutting out box tops, but it also helps support lumber vertically when I'm cutting rabbet joints. It doesn't stop there though. This auxiliary fence aids in supporting long workpieces and keeps them straight through every cut. Although the auxiliary fence can be removed, I haven't actually found a cut that made it necessary to remove it yet, but knowing it's not permanent and can be removed and altered later on is peace of mind for me.
Well, I hope this video gave you a great demonstration on not only how to build this jig really quick, but also how to set it up and use it. If you liked this video, don't forget to smash that like button, and if you want more content just like this, subscribe to the Shopfix channel. Well, until the next time, I wish you the best of luck with your future woodworking projects. Take care.